Van Dyke Park community in Boksburg has been left reeling after an attempted hit outside the home of a man implicated in the Madlanga Commission. In a narrow escape of death, Weandre Pistorius survived 16 bullets fired at him this morning by unknown gunmen. Testimony by the late witness D, whose real name is Maurice van der Merwe, linked Pistorius to the torture and murder of a Brakpan man whose body was dumped at a lake in Germiston. Thabiso Goba reports.
Shock and horror. That's what most of the residents at Van Dyke Park who've spoken to EWN say they are feeling. Resident Stoffel Rasso says most of the neighborhood was woken up by the sound of rapid gunshots this morning.
Us as the neighborhood, we try and look out for each other, but this is very close to home that this happened. I think everybody is afraid.
Other residents who wish to remain anonymous say they are scared for their safety.
You know, it's very shocking for a person to see something like this happen in your area. You think you're safe, but it's a big shock.
I've been staying here for like 33 years and nothing like that happened ever.
In the meantime, Gauteng police say a case of attempted murder has been opened. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
The National Student Financial Aid Scheme says it's made significant progress towards approving as many higher education students as possible. Over 600,000 students have been approved for funding for the 2026 academic year, with more than 85,000 in the process of verification. The scheme has also rejected 116,000 applicants. NSFAS is not taking any new applications for the current academic year, but is dealing with the administration relating to the applications already made. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to an overnight low of 17 degrees, peaking at 31. Pretoria 17 and 33. Vereniging 17 and 29. Monge Ziko Ko. Eyewitness News.
EWN. In touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Comfort ends where Marawa Sports Worldwide begins. If it's shaking sport, we are already on it.
The fact that all of his top teams are doing so well. Titus! Oh! That is special.
And he's back. What a strike from Devin Titus. Definitely the kind to choose from. Even he is surprised by that strike.
Oh, Peterson, absolutely no chance. Driven with the right foot well outside the area. Fired home.
Hashtag MSW. Strong opinions, strong sources, strong sport.
The humanity is better than ever in terms of possibilities. We can reach the moon, we can do everything. But still right now we kill each other for what? For what? So when I see the images, I'm sorry, it hurts. It hurts to me. That's why in every position I can help, speaking up to be a better society. No, I want to change anything, but I try, I will be there, you know. Look what happened in the United States of America with Rene Good and Alex Pretty. So I've been killed.
Hashtag MSW. No protection, no PR spin, just accountability.
And coming back home, Orlando Pirates' head coach Abdulsalam Wadu.
In every cities in South Africa where we go to play, we have such support. And I think you have seen the news. We don't play anymore in a stadium. We are playing in arena. So stadium is for normal team. Now we play in arena. So arena it's 5 stars.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live.
Oh man, stadiums versus arenas. Hey, the coach of Orlando Pirates, they're just putting the spanner out there, maybe causing a bit of a stir, saying that it's 5-star. They've moved into, better facility, a better name, and a better place you know what, the results are coming and it's working out for Orlando Pirates. So give them the credits that they deserve, but not so sure about what is happening down in Cape Town. Too much violence at the stadium. What is that all about? Maybe you were there. Do share your experience with us. We'd love to hear from you. It is Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Let's go!
The moments you remember. The games you can't forget. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets. Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Oh my word, he went for power.
From boardrooms to touchlines.
He and his executive committee are dead men walking.
We connect the dots. Monday to Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Hashtag MSW.
We'll certainly try and connect the dots tonight. I think a lot of you have sent us messages for the past couple of years just saying that when are you going to focus on the sport of rowing? Because we got so much to say about it. Maybe at times people have been showing their frustration, not quite knowing where to vent it out. So if there's anything, tonight is that night. From now until 22/7, we're going to be having this conversation, very open conversation. We try and figure out where we are with rowing. And that's why tonight we are diving into a sport that's kind of defined by what I call unity, grit, golden moments on the world stage. Rowing is seen as the ultimate team sport. I mean, a discipline of relentless tenacity where every muscle kind of like screams, hey, stop. You have to push forward because your teammates are counting on you. So rowing kind of shapes champions, not only in the water, but in life. Producing disciplined, resilient, time-mastering young South Africans who are ready to shape our future. And that is why joining us is a man who is steering one of South Africa's quiet sporting powerhouses, a trustee of the SA Rowing Powerhouse Trust, and he will unpack the bold plans to grow the sport, from indoor rowing to water, revive university competitions as well as establish the high-performance centers in Eastern and Western Cape, including strengthening the talent pipeline and also ensuring that South Africa kind of continues to punch above its weight on the global stage. Now, most importantly, he'll also share how rowing is taking its future into its own hands. We do have Paul Marketos-SA Rowing Powerhouse Trust trustee is in studio. Paul, thank you so much for your time. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
I mean, you often call rowing the ultimate team sport. I've tried to describe it in that way in the intro. What is it about rowing that kind of builds such powerful unity as well as character in athletes?
Well, it's a sport which requires synchronization and unity. So you could have 4 Davids beat 4 Goliaths because they're just rowing well together. So it's the ultimate team sport, because also you might have every cell in your body screaming at you to stop, but you can't because you simply cannot let your friends down. So it really does foster extremely close bonds because shared suffering and all that, and it produces people who are team players. I know business leaders who will almost certainly recruit people if they see high-level rowing on their CV, because they know they're getting someone who won't give up when the going is tough and who is a complete team player.
No, absolutely. And I love the fact that you use that whole imagery of David beating Goliath, etc., through unison. That is powerful in terms of a description. But have you personally witnessed moments where teamwork kind of like trumped raw strength?
Well, you just have to go to 2012, that London Olympics, the men's lightweight fours. If anyone listening hasn't watched that, go to YouTube and watch. It is the most spine-tinglingly thrilling rowing race you'll ever see. The lightweight 4 coxed by Sizwe Ndlovu was lying in 4th place, with 500 meters to go. And I remember screaming at the television, "Oh my God, they can get a bronze, they can get a bronze, they can get a silver, look at them." And they won the gold. It is just, it's poetry in motion. It's just incredibly, it's just perfect timing, it's perfect synchronicity. It is it's the golden moment of South African rowing so far.
No, absolutely. And you're right. Anybody that hasn't watched that magical moment, I was one of those screaming and shouting at the television as well. because I didn't think we would be able to, so hats off to James Thompson, John Smith, Matthew Britton, as well as the gentleman you mentioned, Usizwe Ndlovu. It was history personified on many fronts there, because at the same time, it was the first Olympic gold in South Africa, the first as well on the African continent, and we could just gloat over a sport that many didn't even know the dynamics, the rules, etc., etc. Do you think we've kind of disappeared a little bit from the highs of 2012 in London?
So the actual high was 2016 in Rio, where we managed
with the silver.
Well, no, we managed to qualify all 5 boats for the A finals. And bearing in mind there are only 6 lanes in an Olympic rowing final, that was an incredible achievement. We got a silver medal in the pair with Lawrence Britton and Sean Keeling, but we got 2 4th places and 2 5th places. We had hoped for more medals, but it was an outstanding achievement for a small country to get 5 boats. There only are 14. There were 14 rowing events at the Rio Olympics, and we were in the finals of 5 of them. So that really was an incredible achievement. One of the things that has complicated matters is that the lightweight 4 that won the gold in London was a lightweight boat. There were 2 of the 5 finalists in Rio were lightweight boats as well. And there's no more lightweight rowing in the Olympics. So it has been replaced by beach sprint rowing, more commonly known as coastal rowing. So there are other opportunities, but one of our sort of areas of strength in the past is now no longer an Olympic sport. So we have to adapt and adjust and make sure that we can compete regardless.
Oh, okay. I love the fact that you've explained it that way, because I was going to throw it back to even, 2004 in Athens, where we got bronze. And that is why rowing, as far as I look at it, is one of only 3 SA sports to win Olympic as well as World Championship gold, silver, and bronze. I mean, why do you think SA has excelled despite what I call limited funding?
Yeah, we absolutely punch above our weight. And I think that boat of Donovan Check and Ramon de Clemente winning the Athens bronze medal, that kind of opened the door. And it just, a lot of sport is mental, as you all know, so it just showed that it's possible for South Africans to compete at that level. And them opening the door then opened other people's minds to try and emulate them. So, we've since then their first world champs medal was in 2001. So in the last 25 years, we've actually won 11 medals at the elite level, either world championships or the Olympics. And for a small country, it's extremely good. And it really has been on a bit of a shoestring budget relative to other countries. And one of the, we've been very blessed to have excellent sponsors like Rand Merchant Bank, who've been consistent and been supporting us for many years now. But we've also had less consistent revenue coming in. So we've had funding from Lotto, we've had funding from SASCOC, and this year there have been complications around that. And then we've also had benefactors. We've had some unbelievably generous people supporting our Olympic squads, for example. But it's not consistent. And that's why we believe that the new sustainability fund that we're establishing is crucial, so that we can ensure that rowing is successful in perpetuity, that we don't have these kind of ups and downs, these peaks and troughs that we have experienced over the last 20 years.
It sounds to me, Paul, that the journey of rowing looks at corporate, and corporate looks at rowing and says, we can plug in X amount of money, whereas somebody will always put up their hands and say, can government be involved? Can we reach out to the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture for him to be involved? Can he subsidize? Can he do anything to really help? In your experience, I mean, has government involvement been there? And if it has, at what level?
So I actually don't know exactly what the involvement of government has been. I know there has been Lotto funding, so that's indirectly. That has been very beneficial to the sport. And there has been help around the Olympics through SASCOC, so that certainly helped us. But it tends to not be spread evenly over the Olympic years. So you'll have money will come in the year before the Olympics more than in the year after the Olympics, for example. But what we're trying to do is to make the rowing community self-sustaining. We want to kind of not look outside as much for support, but look to the rowing community itself to build up this fund so that rowing can be sustainable into the future. So anyone who's involved in rowing, anyone who's benefited from rowing, people who've maybe got their national colours in the past, we're looking to people like that to help us establish this fund and make it successful.
All right. I mean, I'll deal more regarding that after the break at 20 past, though. I want to kind of come back, though, because I'm also mindful that in various cars around the country that are listening to the show is a parent with a child, a son, a daughter, who's listening to the show, who's expressed an interest, who rowing becomes an option when they get to high school. And also just to get your opinion, Paul, to say, why would you believe that rowing in particular is important for young South Africans today?
It just breeds such wonderful young people with great values. It's an outdoor sport, so if you're rowing on Rudaplat Dam, you'll have fish eagles calling, and you'll see kudu on the bank and banded mongoose, and it's the most beautiful sport. It's healthy, it's outdoors, gives you a great physique. Boys and girls do it, so it's good socially for children, and it breeds people with great values. As we mentioned before, the teamwork and the resilience, the grit. I think that's the main thing. There's a lot of tough times in rowing because you've got to train like mad. Like 99% of the time is training, and you're 1% racing. And that hard work in terms of the training, just to prepare yourself to be at your best for the races, that breeds an incredible discipline and determination. So you'll find that children who row end up with wonderful time management skills, for example. They get their homework done. Many of them are top academics, and they just learn to manage their lives well. And those are fantastic life skills to take into university or the working world.
All right, I call it the long overdue conversation, and we're having it tonight, and I want your input as well. We're always interactive on the show. 060-708-0484, 060-708-0484 is the voice note number. So the number directly in studio, and I believe it is buzzing quite a bit right now, 011-883-8947. We got Ernest on the line. Ernest, good evening.
Good evening, Robert. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Interested to get your take.
Yeah, it's a different kind of rowing, and I just think it needs a mention. It's the world's toughest row, which is just taking place. It's just finishing now. The guy started on the 14th of December. It goes in single, solo, duo, trips and pairs, and quartets, 4 people. It's a rowing boat. They rowed from Spain to Antigua, right across the Atlantic Ocean, 3,000 miles. And the South African team finished up third. They got onto the podium. I think it's very commendable in 34 days and some change.
They came in third?
Third place, yeah. They rowed consistently 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on for 34 days. There's no assistance, there's no handouts, there's nothing. You've got to carry your food, you've got to do everything on your own. You leave Spain and you end up in Antigua. That's it. You're on your own.
Jeez. I don't know, Paul, do you want to pop in there? Because I was going to ask Ernest and say, where's this not been shared, to the general public? Is there social media platforms where this has been highlighted? Because we would love South Africans to be channeled into those platforms so that we get to highlight such achievements, because they really go unnoticed. And we should be giving them such a hero's welcome when they come back into the country.
Absolutely. I mean, the problem is, rowing has been a bit of a Cinderella sport. It's all volunteers, so we don't have full-time people out there doing PR and things like that. So it's something that we certainly need to work on. Is raising the profile of rowing in the country. Whether it's 2K courses or marathon 34-day stints across the Atlantic like that. So an incredible achievement.
Were you aware of what Ernest is talking about now?
I didn't know they'd finished and come third. I tracked them in the early part of the race, but I didn't. Haven't been up to date on their standing.
But I mean, for me, it just sounds like a phenomenal achievement, given the conditions that he described.
Absolutely. The Atlantic is not an easy ocean to cross.
All right, more of your calls. I know that you are waiting, standing by to come on and chat to us. As I said, it's a long-awaited conversation. Loving every minute of it. We get educated at the same time. We try and push the boundaries because we need to give it the recognition that it deserves.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. #MSW.
This is what value sounds like. It's only natural to crave real flavor. That's why Burger King brings you the stacked King value meals. 3 bigger flame-grilled beef or chicken burgers, each served with fries and a drink of your choice. Now with a fluffier bun. Big on size, big on flavor, big on value. Get it for just $59.90 on the BK app. Burger King, flame-grilled perfection.
You swore you were just here for cotton pads. Now it's a full-blown haul. Supplements, tissues, that new serum that's all over socials. With other banks, this would sting. But you bank with Capitec. You get 15% off over 140 brands at Dis-Chem. So your basket feels lighter even when it's full. Bank on better rewards with Capitec and Dis-Chem. Capitec is an authorized FSP 4669. Conditions apply.
It's season 2, and the stakes are even higher. South Africa's favorite stars are back at the briefcase, playing for charities close to home and close to the heart. Big names, big hearts, big deals, all made possible by Lotto Star. Don't miss Deal or No Deal Celebrity South Africa, Saturdays at 6 p.m. on SABC1.
Lotto Stars, licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
At Checkers, 2026 is better with over 1,500 deals. Like Clover Butro Full Cream Modified Butter Spread, 500 grams for $79.99. Save 20 Rand. Nestle Mini Chocolate Fun Bags, any 2 for 89 Rand. Save 45 Rand. And Finish Dishwasher Tablets, 45, 50 or 56 per pack for $229.99. Save 55 Rand. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Boksburg, why is there a horse in your driveway?
You right, Savvy. Why drive a Mustang when you can ride one?
What the missus say?
Well, she had a bit of a long face, but now she's stable.
If you need a backup plan, We Buy Cars can sort you out.
Nah, Savvy, this thing is eco-chic.
Stop horsing around, cowboy. Rather get one of these from We Buy Cars.
What's the horsepower on that thing?
More than one, Dorf. More than one.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for adventure, geared for you.
Alpha Pharmacies care about you and your health. This year, Alpha Pharmacies will give away 100,000 Rand every week. For 52 weeks, we will change 52 lives. Spend 100 Rand or more at any participating Alpha Pharmacy to qualify. Double your chances to win by buying participating brands. Go to alpha52.co.za or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. 52 weeks, 52 lives, 1 Alpha. Terms and conditions apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
It's Fortune Makaringe, fortune teller. I came across an article that said, and I'm sorry to take you back to this Chan team,
sure.
But one of the players was saying that you guys didn't get paid.
No, we didn't get paid. They said, we'll see you in Jan.
Sure.
And then Jan came, another story.
Because if you guys don't get paid and you've been representing your country and you've been away from your families for an entire month, that is not right. Because the next question is, whoever the person is that you're dealing with at SAFA should be asked the question himself to say, sir, ma'am, have you been paid?
And at the end of the day, you look at the profile of players that were there.
Those are big names.
You would never hear stories of them complaining about such stuff.
Pay me what you want it. Don't act like you forgot.
Hashtag MSW.
Hashtag MSW.
That is extraordinary. Marawa Sports Worldwide. We ask the questions they are scared to answer.
It was a mutual conversation. It was a mutual termination.
Hashtag MSW.
In conversation tonight, right here on hashtag MSW with Paul Marketos. He is the SA Rowing Powerhouse Trust, as the trustee is our guest here tonight, and a fantastic conversation leading up to the break. And also, as we look forward, Paul, to Brisbane, I guess Brisbane and beyond, what are some of the main goals, though, that, Row SA is working towards over, I'll calculate it, over the next 7 years?
Yeah, so obviously we've got LA coming up, which is a strange Olympics because they've reduced the normal 2,000 meter course to a 1,500 meter course because that's the course that's in Los Angeles itself. So that's the we've got sort of just 2 years until LA, but we just you really need 8 years to kind of make proper plans work. So over the last year, the Rose Exec's been putting a number of different plans into place. We've got an extremely effective development program that's headed up by an amazing woman called Virginia Mabasa. So it's focused on indoor rowing. So that's rowing on those ergometers machines. And she's got over 3,000 rowers rowing across all 9 different provinces in the country. So the idea is to start integrating that indoor rowing more into the other forms of rowing. So getting people to move across the top indoor rowers, giving them opportunities to try out classic rowing, that's the rowing on flat water, or perhaps coastal rowing. And now that coastal rowing is in the Olympics, and that's starting in LA, it opens up a whole number of avenues for rowing in the country because we don't have that many good areas of water for a 2K course, but we do have lots of beaches. And so a lot of these rowing programs, if we can start integrating them, we can have development athletes come through and move into coastal rowing or into classic rowing, get bursaries to attend good schools, that type of thing. And I would like to see that closer integration happening. So that's one of the key pillars. And the other end is and we can always take leaves out of rugby's playbook because just like Rassie is able to pick and choose his best athletes from wherever they are around the world. So we've got some excellent athletes participating in universities in Europe or in the States or in Australia. And we really need to be a lot better at tracking their performance, at being able to bring them back for camps, getting them into under 23s, and then building up a bigger national squad. Because one thing that has happened over the last while, partly due to lack of funds, is that the size of our national squad has decreased. If you look back to 2016, you had a large number of people vying for a set number of places in the boats, and that kind of internal competition is very healthy. So we need to build our base. We need more rowers. We need development rowers. We need schools in Pretoria, schools in Paarl, getting into rowing. We need to spread the gene pool. We need kids from Zwede, again, taking another example from rugby, getting into rowing as well, just so that we have a broader base of people to pull from. Just so that we, by the time you get to the top of the pyramid, you've got some very, very competitive rowers competing for seats in the Olympic boats. And then around that also monitoring systems to monitor athletes electronically, all that type of thing, just so that we've got data so that we can make proper decisions around who to select for the different boat classes.
Interesting. I was just going to go back to the point that you were making, and it's a valid point, Paul, where you're saying that, just like rugby, you would want the kids from Izwide to step forward and be rowers, take part in the sport itself. Now, again, using personal experience, there was an option to get on a boat and, do rowing as an option. But I chose because I struggled with one thing called swimming, that if I hop onto the boat, something happens, then it's the end of me.
Yeah.
And I go back to a conversation I've had with Chad Leclos before, very open conversation on air, and he was stressing the importance of bringing in kids from the Zwides, Mlazis, Guamashus, wherever around the world, within the black community, to say participate, but we will give swimming lessons. Because you look at it and you say, okay, if you're in a boat on the water, something happens, you'll topple over, and if you can't swim, you'll drown.
Yeah.
So then that becomes almost like a scare factor. Is that a reality that you face, and how can we overcome that?
Absolutely. So for children to row competitively for a school, they have to have passed what we call their tip test. So they have to go out in a single scull, fall into the water, and then climb back into the boat. So that they have to be able to swim. It's an essential life skill anyway. So the idea is for Rowing South Africa to partner with Swim SA to ensure that any kid coming through our development programs into rowing is able to swim. It's something that's essential because it is a huge risk.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so going back to your calls, 011-883-8947. Otherwise, the WhatsApp voice note is on 060-708-0484.
Good evening, Mr. Rob. It's Sulifalang here, and good evening to the Mr. British Shoulders, and good evening to your guest over there in the studio. With regards to rowing, I just simply want to find out, with regards to the state of its professionalism, where does it stand? Is it in the right direction? Are there any chances where maybe you might want to seek sponsorship and reach a point where it can actually be a professional sport, where maybe there's some kind of like an annual competition that does take place, and constant competitions as well are scattered all over the world? How is the state of professionalism in terms of, the athletes going there, rowing and getting paid to actually row, or is it not a professional sport? That's what I want to find out from my guest in studio. Great show as always. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah.
Great question. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah. The short answer there is it's not nearly professional enough. Our top rowers get paid a stipend, but it's not a significant amount. It's nothing if you compare to soccer players or tennis players, whatever. But they put in probably more work than any of those sports. So we really want to be able to pay people more for the commitment that and the sacrifice that they make. So we do want more sponsorship. It's a fantastic sport. It's kind of a high GSM audience, and that's the whole point of this sustainability fund, is to ensure that we do have enough money so that people can see it as an alternative 8 years before they go into the working world, and that they're going to come out of it the other side, with perhaps some savings, or at least not in debt. Because currently, we do want to attend regattas overseas, the World Cups, etc. But it's expensive to rent boats, to send people across. And the more money we have, the more of these events we can attend, the more people we can have in our national squad, the better we will be. Now, there's a direct correlation between the amount of money invested in a sport like rowing and the amount of medals that come out the other side. You'll see countries like Great Britain, their rowing budget is 50 to 100 times what ours is. So we are punching above our weight, but I think we need to get to a point where we actually do professionalize the sport, and we give our athletes the support they deserve, so that they're able to continue to bring back the medals that make us so proud.
You've also spoken about reviving university rowing, Paul. I mean, could this become rowing's version of what is the Varsity Cup?
Yeah, again, you're taking another leaf out of the rugby book. The Varsity Cup's been hugely successful. Rowing is still very strong at universities, but some universities like Rhodes and Wits were stronger in the past. We'd like to bring them back to their past glory, and we'd like to make the universities a feeder into the under-23s and the national squad. We'd like to see them as competitive as possible. We'd also like to see newer universities to rowing, like UWC, continue their upward trajectory, and Marties as well. So we're seeing a lot of good development in universities, but we think there's a lot of room for improvement there as well. We just need to build club rowing. We need to build university rowing. We need to expand school rowing. The school rowing is probably the most successful and best functioning aspect of rowing in the country at the moment, but we need to have more of that when people leave school.
Yeah, it's also about visibility. The more you talk about the varsity rugby and varsity sport being successful, it was about visibility. And I always look back and I say, when Francois Pienaar invested in going to America, looking at what they do, especially within the football spheres, that basketball sphere, how do they make it, especially at university level, so dominant and so watchable across the world? And then he came back with the concept, applied it here, got sponsors flying out of their windows to go out and say, we want to sponsor this. And they've stayed consistent, but there was always visibility. I think the nights where, varsity sport or varsity football and hockey and so on was always on a Thursday. So it was always on a non-prime sporting week on SuperSport, and they chose the Thursday deliberately for that. But what came out of it was something phenomenal. And I think rowing needs to get there, where you choose those dates, it becomes part of that pipeline, and then you grow the viewership.
Yeah, and what's really revolutionizing rowing is drone footage. So from above, it's an incredibly exciting sport to watch. The most recent boat race, the school boat race that was held down in Port Alfred in December, is an example. The final between St. John's and St. Benedict's was an incredibly exciting race to watch. With the footage up close of the boys trying their utmost. It's gripping, but again, not enough people are aware of it. So it really is incumbent on us as ROSA to spread the word and to make it more visible. And all the different programs that we are involved in will slowly do that. But again, we need time, we need money, we need volunteers, we need all of those things just to help spread the word of what a remarkable sport rowing actually is.
Just still talking about that, how will like high performance centers in the Eastern or Western Cape change the competitive landscape?
Yeah, so what happened was some years ago, like everything in life, it's things are good and bad. So the talent was focused on Tuks, University of Pretoria. So that was the high performance center. So to kind of get into the national squad, that was your natural route through. But that just meant that Tukkies dominated everything, and you didn't have the breadth of competition that you'd had previously. So their thinking is to have that, maintain Tuks as a high performance center, but then have equivalent high performance centers in the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape, where the bulk of rowing currently happens, so that you can just tap into the talent from all of those regions and choose your best squads for the national squad.
But also many top rowers kind of head overseas. I mean, how can South Africa better track and support and retain its best athletes globally? Because you spoke about that tracking system, but is it viable?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, the challenge comes in how do you get people to train together, because it is a sport where you do need time in the boat together. So you need to come back for camps or spend time leading up to international regattas, working together in a boat. But we're getting better at that. So there's a database now, and people are tracking the whereabouts of our international athletes, their erg scores, their performances on the water, and encouraging them to keep South Africa in mind for national selection. So it's certainly something that is a key focus, that pipeline pyramid that we need. Because there are a lot of rowers out there who still have national ambitions, but they might be at Brown University or wherever it might be in the States. So we're certainly getting better at doing that, but there's still room for further improvement.
Just checking out social media here, Paul. Someone says, what about corporate rowing challenge, hey? I mean, why is this such a powerful team building or revenue model?
Yeah, so it's an idea that we're borrowing from New Zealand and Australia, where it's been hugely successful. So what we'll be doing, and this is going to kick off in the 26-27 season, is get corporates to put together a team of novices, and we'll partner them with a club. The club will train them up. They will have 10 weeks of training. They'll row at Gauteng Champs if they're based in Gauteng, and then we'll have the ultimate final for the Corporate Challenge Trophy at Senior National Champs at the end of April. And the winner will keep a floating trophy and bragging rights among all the corporates. And the ideal is this then will be an annual event, because it's a fantastic opportunity for team building, for corporate wellness, and in the process, people learn a new skill, they bond with their fellow colleagues, and Rowing South Africa and the club involved gets some money to help develop the sport.
Yeah, I was going to ask, being involved in a lot of these corporate events, especially within, the golfers and some of the businesses that are listening and saying that how can they expect to gain by getting involved? I mean, what is it that can be gained by them?
Yeah, so I think it's it's the team building aspect is amazing. So in Australia, you'll have the same corporates send different teams year after year, and they bond. It's because it is tough, and they're learning a new skill, but it's fun at the same time. It's quite a laugh, and it starts off semi-competitive, but 17 years later in Australia, it's actually become very competitive, and people it's a wonderful outdoor sport. It's healthy. It's an alternative. If someone's been doing mountain biking for years, let them try a different sport and have some fun in the process. So it's just a great way to generate gees inside an organization.
Yeah, and before you disappear there, Paul, I picked up that there was the 150 million rand endowment.
Yeah.
Kind of looking like an ambitious vision. I mean, why is this a game changer, though, for rowing in SA?
Yeah, so we want to raise that kind of money. The idea is that we'll keep it in an endowment fund. We'll take out 5% a year for ROSA, and the money will be ring-fenced within the Powerhouse Trust. So this way, we will make rowing sustainable in the country. Our strapline is a rand now is a rand forever. So we want one big push. We want to ask the entire rowing community to get behind us, to put money into this fund so that rowing is successful in perpetuity. And we're offering people two ways of getting involved, either through donating and getting a tax deductible 18A certificate, or to put in what we call a debenture, which is in effect an interest-free loan. So we're just going to keep the interest on the money. They can get the capital back whenever they ask for it after 1 year. So the idea is that we can get up to a minimum of 50 million. We're approaching it like a private equity raise. We're saying, listen, we need the community to get behind this whole thing. We need to get to 50 million rand. Otherwise, we're not going to ask people to convert pledges into donations. We're just going to walk away from this whole thing because it's not really worthwhile. So we really want to have 50 million as an absolute minimum for this thing to be viable. But we do hope to get well beyond that to 100 or 150 million rand. You take 5% of that a year, and you've got a decent amount of money now for ROSA to spend on development, on international regattas, on stipends for senior squad members, whatever it might be. So it's something that we have to get right. And if and when we do get it right, then we will have done a wonderful thing. We will make rowing sustainable and be in a much better place for the rest of our lives.
An absolute eye-opener, Paul. Thank you so much for your time. And if there's anything else that we can do as a show, as 947, as Primedia, please, we're just a call away, and we'll certainly make sure that all of these that we have spoken about and more does come to fruition. And thank you so much for your time, and good luck.
Thanks so much, Robert. We'll certainly take you up on that suggestion. I really appreciate your support.
Great stuff indeed. That's SA Rowing Powerhouse Trust. Paul Marketos, who is the trustee, chatting to us right here on hashtag MSW.
Hashtag MSW, live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
All cars are designed to move. A Mazda is crafted to move you. Every line, every detail, form in motion, beauty with purpose. So that when you drive, you connect. Car and driver become one. One rhythm. Builds, holds, breaks free. The feeling will find you. Mazda. Wonder awaits.
On Thursdays at Panarotis, sharing is not caring. Because when Gogo steals a slice of your Regina, you're stealing a slice of her Alfredo. And when Maluma says, 1 for you, 2 for me, that's not sharing, that's a pizza heist. Luckily, you don't have to share. Get the classic Monsterito Quattro, 4 classic pizza flavors on one massive, almost half a meter wide pizza for only $199.90 every Thursday. Perfect for sharing or not. Panarotis, big on family, big on pizza. T's and C's apply.
You swore you were just here for cotton pads. Now it's a full-blown haul. Supplements, tissues, that new serum that's all over socials. With other banks, this would sting. But you bank with Capitec. You get 15% off over 140 brands at Dis-Chem. So your basket feels lighter even when it's full. Bank on better rewards with Capitec and Dis-Chem. Capitec is an authorized FSP 46669. Conditions apply.
Are you ready to explore your beautiful country in style? With Lekker Slaap's user-friendly accommodation booking app, finding the perfect stay has never been easier. Whether you're dreaming of a beach escape, a bush retreat, or a city adventure, Lekker Slaap has you covered with thousands of stays for every budget. Join millions of happy South Africans who book their stays on Lekker Slaap. Download the Lekker Slaap app today and easily book your next holiday.
Get your mojo back with 25% off everything at Mojo Beds. And this month of Live Shop in-store at Mojo Beds for 5,999 or more and get a 500 Rand voucher to redeem at American, Swiss or Stearns. Plus, get up to 24 months to pay with your TFG money account. Shop beds for all budgets at 25% off. Find your best sleep at Mojo Beds. Good night. Offer excludes breakfast sold separately. NCRCP 36 T's and C's apply. Visit us in the Park Meadow Center opposite Eastgate Mall.
Wait, BioPlus has energy drinks? And get this, they're giving you a chance to drive away in a brand new Suzuki Jimny. Plus, grab your share of 100,000 Rand in instant prizes. Every can brings you closer to winning. Whether you're beach-bound or road tripping with your crew, BioPlus energy drinks give you the energy to own your plus. Sip, enter, win. Own your plus and make your summer epic with BioPlus energy drinks. T's and C's apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
He said to me before the break that he hasn't retired, which was a good thing. It's Fortune Makaringe, fortune teller. Why did people get confused and say that you had indeed announced your retirement? But why do you think people feel or believe that you retired?
A lot of people didn't expect me to stay for so long without a team.
Why don't you have a team?
Well, by the grace of God, I finally got a team. Leicester Fort City has embraced me. They play in the NFD and they're from Pretoria.
Why don't you have a Bedway Premiership club?
That's one question I've been asking myself for such a long time.
The other clubs in the Premiership probably think that you are too expensive and they can't afford you.
One, assuming maybe you'll be expensive. I think it would have taken just a phone call.
Yeah.
There will be mountains that I will have to climb.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW.
Hey, Rob, you know, Rob, Junior Kanye once said this: there's love and there's reality. People love Kaizer Chiefs, but the reality is some of the players are ordinary players, are not special players. They don't deserve to play for Chiefs. Some Chiefs fans were making noise about him too, Shabalala. They want him to play for Bafana, but the guy is not consistent. The guy is not special. You can't compare him to with William Fukeng. You can't. So Chiefs need players and they need coach. You can't have a caretaker coach, a big club like Chiefs rely on the caretaker coaches. Two ordinary guys, two ordinary coaches. They must bring Rulan and fix this thing, man. Bring Rulan and fix this thing. Rulan can fix this thing. Rulan built right yet. Rulan has been fixing MCLJ. He's been playing with other 20 guys and he's winning matches. So they need Rulan to fix Chiefs. That's all.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Kuluma Nosibongele Nomkwan, Kamkai Matafen. And Netbank Cup, I will touch on the incident after the game here, Chiefs, Stellenbosch. What happened to Brendan Peterson, Mr. Marawa? I think it's unacceptable, Mr. Marawa. I think what supporters need to know or what they need to learn is that we need to love our players when they win and we need to love our players when they lose. They are also human beings, Mr. Marawa. You can't throw water to a family man in front of people. Obviously, he will get frustrated, and I don't blame Brendan Peterson for his reaction. I think most of our supporters need to accept that we win together and we lose together. Thank you, Mr. Marawa. Kutro as always.
When the game needs a voice.
The road for president, that one, no, we are going with it.
It speaks right here on MSW, on 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live.
All right, it's the last 12 minutes of the show, and that's why I wanted to kind of focus the spotlight a little bit before we say goodbye to you. On the Queens of African football, and I'm talking about Banyana Banyana, the legendary woman at the helm, the trailblazer, the champion, the national icon, Coach Desiree Ellis. And fresh off announcing that powerful 38-member squad of high-intensity alignment camp that's kicking off on the 13th of February, Banyana are gearing up now for two massive battles, the COSAFA Women's Championship that's happening in Polokwane, as well as the all-important Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, otherwise known as WAFCON. I mean, WAFCON doesn't just crown champions. I mean, it opens the doors to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. And also, Banyana are hungry, guys. They are hungry to finish in the top three and punch that particular ticket. So the good thing is the overseas stars have returned. They're preparing. Their preparations also just kind of heating up. I don't know what the vision is. What's the strategy? Her Royal Highness, Dr. Desiree Ellis, Banyana coach, awaits those answers for us. Desiree, thank you for your time. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Rob. Thank you for the introduction. Before I start, David Motwani sends his well wishes. I said to him, I'll pass it on. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
A good 2 months, coming up, very big 2 months coming up. And Rob, it's not top three, it's the semi-finalists that will qualify for the World Cup. So once you win your quarterfinal clash, you automatically qualify, and then the 4 losers go into a playoff to get 2 countries to go to an interconfederation playoff, and that's not where you want to go.
Sure, I know that's draining. I mean, ask DR Congo, because that's what they need to try and do to get to the World Cup.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's not easy when you have England and Spain in one group and one is not going to automatically qualify. It tells you how big it is.
Sure. But you've named a 38-member squad for this alignment camp. I mean, what are the main qualities that you're looking for at the stage of preparation?
Look, we picked a group of lots of experience, if you look across the squad, but also a group of very exciting youth, with lots of versatility. I think the versatility is going to be key, covering all our bases. So you've got the experience, you've got the youthful exuberance, and you've also got, 18 out of the 38 players were not at the last WAFCON, including Tembi. So it says that, there's a lot of players that, we're having a look at. 5 under 20 players that we've called in as well. It's been the best for the under 20s as well. 5 players get their first call-ups. Zondi, Mzobe, October, as well as Mpelo, Kutsopila, played for Coach Maud when we had at Kosafa, when Banyana had other commitments. So it's not exactly a first call-up, but a first call-up with us as a senior group. So, we've looked around and we've looked where we can fill the gaps. We've made sure that we bring in a lot of youth as well, because we're not just preparing for now. There's a World Cup coming up, so we want to make sure that, these players get the feel of it, and to make sure that we have a look at them as well. Bonolo, Tatu, Zoe, Torisho, and of course the goalkeeper, who's been part of our camp before.
Sure. When you talk about the numbers and how many are here, how many are there, I even saw earlier on Sundowns, they talked on their Twitter page today, and they were celebrating something not just about them being champions, but they were saying 11 of their Sundowns ladies have been called to the Banyana Banyana squad to shine in green and gold at WAFCON. I mean, that is important. That again highlights on a domestic front, Desiree, how important it is to maintain the consistency. We were celebrating them over the weekend at the awards as champions. 11 is a big number, but deserved number.
Look, Rob, a lot of players that moved to Sundowns over the last couple of years, and do you now not select them because they've moved to Sundowns? I mean, Gugu Dlamini, we selected her when we thought she was at UJ, and she's just signed for Mamelodi Sundowns, and we're just consistent in our selections, whether the players move to another club and there's 10 of that club in the squad. They've been in Banyana before they even got to Mamelodi Sundowns. But yes, they've been the torchbearers on the African continent, for us as well, along with UWC the 1 year. So they've been the torchbearers, and you look at what they offer. You don't look at what club they play for. You look at what they offer, how they complement the other players in the team, and what connection you can get and what you can get out of it, So it's not about where they play, it's what they can offer the national team. And as you say, they've got 11, but if you look at it, some players did not play there before, now they're playing there. So we're just consistent in selecting them. I mean, we chose Asanda Khadidi when she was playing at Sunflower. So now she's at Sundown. So we're still choosing her,
Yeah, something, yeah. From a sunflower to a sundowner, it all works out in the end. What I was looking at earlier on is just these tournaments so close together. How do you manage now the fitness, the rotation, the mental freshness of the players?
Look, it's going to be very key for us. We all know a lot of players are in pre-season. We also know some players coming in, especially the international players. Some seasons have started, some is at the end of the season. And that's why we're calling this an alignment camp where we can manage everything. It was easy then in the past to give over the Kosafa Cup team to another coach also to gain experience and for players. But we feel we needed to be in charge of this so that we can manage everything, that we can oversee anything. because it's just not an alignment camp, but it's also a selection camp. The WAFCON squad is going to be selected out of the squad. So it's an opportunity for players, and COSAFA has brought up fantastic players. You look at in 2019, Nicolo came through, and she's become a superstar in the team. You look at other players, that have come through over the years through the COSAFA Cup and where they are now. So this is another opportunity for others, because it's not just about raising their hands for WAFCON, but it's about raising their hands because these tournaments are now live streamed all over the world, and there's people out there watching, and it's an opportunity for players to raise their hands. And we hope that players grab this opportunity, but we want to make sure that we give ourselves the best shot to make sure, that we pick the best team.
Yeah, and I can hear the excitement. Even the dogs are excited that the COSAFA tournament is going to be played here in Polokwane as well. And just to remind everybody that please look out for the fixtures, go and support the national team. It is in Polokwane. But how valuable is it playing in front of the home support for the squad?
Always important. Wherever we've gone, especially in Kabeja, they've been the 12th and the 13th player. And when there's a lull in the game, they just start singing and, start lifting you up. They probably are the last people to leave the stadium, applauding the players off the field. And I think that's only fantastic for players, to be able to play in a stadium where they are appreciated, where the fans are screaming their names, where the fans want their autographs, etc. I think you cannot ask for anything more. You see how it has revived Moroccan football, both male and female, packed out stadiums, fans supporting them, and it's lifted and raised them. So we're hoping that fans can do the same for us in Polokwane.
Are you treating COSAFA purely as a competitive tournament, Des, or also as a testing ground for combinations ahead of WAFCON?
Look, both, Robert. We're testing for that as well, because we have to look at combinations as well. We have to also test players as well. We have to see how players stand up as well. So we're doing both. It's come at a time where we can utilize this to be able to look at players. We're also looking at managing the load. We all know our season has not started yet, but many clubs have started pre-season at different times. As I said, we have players coming in that have ended their season, players coming in that have not started their season, that are in pre-season. Players coming in that started the league in January, players coming in that have played a couple of friendlies at the club. So I have a mixed group of players, and we have to really be on top of our toes to be able to manage the load as well and make sure, that we take care of the players, because the well-being of the players is also important. And that's why, we've gone and called us an alignment camp, so that we can be present to be able to see, be able to manage, and to be able to make sure that we take care of the players as well.
Yeah, just a quick one, Des, before we say goodbye. The biggest talking point has been the omission of the Hollywoodbet Super League Player of the Season, Leandra Smeede. That decision taken how?
Look, Rob, it's not just, there's a lot of players that we didn't call up. And I always wonder why we're talking about players that are not called up, but everyone has their opinion, and as a coach with my technical team, I choose the players that I think will do the job. Sometimes as a coach, I don't pick the best individual player. I pick the best team. Football is not about anyone that looks good on their own. It's about who makes others better. And I think we'll fit in with each other, that will understand each other, work together, and we'll always beat a group of stars. But I say, as a coach, yes, I've made mistakes, but in my years of experience, and one of the things I've learned about selections is not always about skill. It's about work rate, mindset, relationships, humility. And that's why when I make the selection, I think of all of that and which players will fit in the best to make the team the best. And sometimes, in the past, Paya's goal scorer also has not made the squad, but we also have to look at the mix and we have to get all of that right.
Yeah. In you we trust, Desiree, as always. That's why we put you on the radio. We chat, we discuss all of these things very openly. I wish you everything of the best. Good luck, and I hope that 2026 is more than a blessing. It's about the achievement and fixing the wrongs from the past. Thank you, Des. All of the best.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
That's Dr. Desiree Ellis, Banyana Banyana coach, joining us right here on hashtag MSW. Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets. Back again tomorrow on a Friday, Legends Night.
The thrill.